What does it mean to truly master the art of relationships? This question, often neglected, holds the key to some of life's most significant experiences. Relationships are more than just connections with others. They are reflections of how we engage with ourselves and the world around us. Today, we will embark on a transformative journey, delving deep into 9 principles that every smart man should live by in relationships, according to the timeless wisdom of Stoic philosophy. Whether you're here to build a mindset that withstands the tests of time, or you're seeking guidance for navigating matters of the heart, you're in the right place. Before we dive into these principles, let's take a moment to ensure you're fully tuned in. If you're excited to harness the power of Stoicism in your relationships, be sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a thumbs up. Now, let's begin this journey together as we explore the 9 things smart men should avoid doing with women, all through the lens of Stoic wisdom. 1. Guard your past. Your past is your story, and it shapes who you are today. However, sharing every detail of it, especially the challenging or painful parts, can make you vulnerable. Vulnerability in itself isn't a weakness, but when exposed too freely or too soon, it can lead to unnecessary judgments, misinterpretations, and complications down the road. The Stoics, especially Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, emphasize the importance of maintaining control over what we reveal. Your past is a personal story of resilience, growth, and survival. It is not something to be exploited by others or diminished by those who don't understand its significance. Imagine you're navigating a new relationship. Sharing too much about your past struggles, your failures, heartbreaks, or moments of deep uncertainty can create an imbalance. Instead of being seen for who you are now, you may become trapped in the narrative of what you've overcome. This is not to say that you should never share your past, but rather that you should do so with discernment. Only share what is necessary when it feels right and with those who have earned the privilege of knowing you deeply. Guard your past as a sacred part of who you are. Reveal it on your terms, and never let it become a tool that others can use against you. In Stoicism, the past is viewed as something we cannot control. What has happened has already been sealed in time. But how we choose to speak of it and integrate it into our present lives remains within our control. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often wrote about the concept of living in the present. For him, the past held lessons, but it was not meant to dominate our future actions. In relationships, this idea becomes crucial. When we live too much in the past, whether by dwelling on it or sharing it too readily, we risk losing the essence of who we are right now. Stoicism teaches us to be grounded in the present, to be mindful of what we choose to reveal, and to ensure that those revelations align with the future we are trying to build, not the one we've left behind. 2. Face the fear of being alone. Aristotle once said, "Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom." This profound statement underlines the importance of facing the fear of solitude. Many people enter relationships driven by the fear of being alone, but decisions born from fear are rarely wise. The truth is, being alone doesn't equate to loneliness. Rather, it offers a valuable opportunity to grow, reflect, and reconnect with your own identity. Stoicism encourages us to confront our fears head-on. Solitude is not something to be avoided, but embraced. In fact, it is in moments of solitude that we often discover our greatest strengths and the clarity of mind to pursue our deepest desires. When you choose to be with someone, it should never be out of fear of being alone, but because their presence adds genuine value to your life. Being alone gives you time to build yourself up, to cultivate your interests, your passions, and your sense of self-worth. It's about becoming a person who is whole on their own, rather than looking for someone to complete you. When you reach that point, you'll find that relationships become about sharing your wholeness, rather than filling a void. Stoic thinkers like Seneca understood the value of solitude, seeing it as an essential part of self-mastery. He once remarked, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." The fear of being alone is largely a product of the mind. It is the anticipation of loneliness, rather than the experience of it, that causes anxiety. By learning to embrace solitude, you take control of your mental state and free yourself from the fear that drives so many into unhealthy relationships. Remember this: solitude is not loneliness. It is the space in which you come to know yourself better, to grow stronger, and to gain the wisdom necessary for building meaningful connections. Embrace it, and when the time comes to be with someone, you'll know that your decision is coming from a place of strength, not fear. 3. Manage your time wisely. Time is your most precious resource, the Stoics would say. Seneca's wisdom reminds us that it's not that life is short, but that we often waste too much time on the wrong things. This applies to relationships as well. Don't lose yourself by investing all of your energy in someone else to the detriment of your own goals and happiness. In relationships, it's easy to get caught up in the needs and desires of your partner to the point where you forget about your own path. While nurturing a relationship is important, it should never come at the expense of your personal growth. Your time is limited. Reclaim it, focus on what truly matters, and use it with intention. The Stoic philosopher Seneca wrote extensively about the value of time. He believed that many of life's frustrations stemmed from poor time management and an inability to prioritize. When we fail to manage our time, we lose sight of our aspirations and become slaves to the demands of others. In the context of relationships, this means setting boundaries. Guard your time as you would guard your most valuable possession. Invest it in people and activities that nourish your soul and contribute to your growth. Don't allow your time to be squandered on pursuits or people who do not appreciate its value. Time spent with someone should be meaningful, not something that drains you or diverts you from your own goals. Focus on what matters: your growth, your happiness, and your future. 4. Celebrate your achievements. One of the most overlooked principles in relationships is the importance of celebrating your own achievements. Epictetus taught us that we shouldn't seek validation from others. Instead, we should learn to admire ourselves. In relationships, it's easy to get so caught up in pleasing someone else that you forget to acknowledge your own success. Every milestone you reach, every small step forward, is a victory that deserves celebration. Don't downplay your achievements just because they may seem insignificant compared to the expectations of others. Building self-confidence comes from recognizing and appreciating your progress. When you allow your achievements to go unnoticed, you risk losing sight of your self-worth. But when you celebrate your wins, no matter how small, you reinforce the idea that you are capable of growth and success. 5. Safeguard your mental health. Prioritizing someone else's needs over your own mental well-being is like burning down your own house just to keep someone else warm. Your mental health should never be compromised for the sake of another person. Stoic wisdom teaches us to protect our peace fiercely. By doing so, you reclaim control over your mind and maintain your inner strength. Happiness is not something you should ever trade away. It's a vital, non-negotiable aspect of your life. So stand firm in safeguarding your mental well-being and don't let anyone diminish your inner joy. 6. Don't lose yourself in the relationship. One of the common traps in relationships is losing sight of who you are as an individual. It's easy to become so entangled in someone else's life that you forget about your own. You might begin to adopt their preferences, cater to their desires, and prioritize their needs over your own. While compromise is a natural and necessary part of any relationship, losing yourself completely is not. The Stoics believed in maintaining a strong sense of individuality and self-sufficiency. Marcus Aurelius spoke often about the importance of self-reflection, about knowing who you are at your core and being true to that identity. In relationships, this means finding a balance between giving and maintaining your own autonomy. You are your own person, with your own dreams, values, and goals. The relationship should enhance these, not erase them. When you lose sight of who you are, you risk resentment and dissatisfaction creeping into the relationship. You become a shadow of yourself, living through another person's desires and needs. The Stoics would advise, maintain your center. Know what you stand for, what makes you fulfilled, and never sacrifice those elements for the sake of pleasing someone else. A relationship should be a partnership, a union where both people grow as individuals, not an absorption of one person's identity by the other. When you retain your individuality, you become more attractive to your partner. Confidence, independence, and self-awareness are qualities that draw people in. They create a dynamic of mutual respect and admiration where both individuals can thrive. Remember, you are not responsible for someone else's happiness. You are responsible for your own. By maintaining your sense of self, you build a stronger, healthier relationship based on mutual respect and shared growth. 7. Embrace impermanence. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life is fleeting, from material possessions to the relationships we hold dear. This is not meant to be a pessimistic outlook, but rather a reminder to cherish the present moment without becoming too attached to it. In relationships, this means accepting that people and circumstances will change over time. Seneca often spoke about how we must learn to let go of attachments to external things, including relationships. This doesn't mean we should love less or care less, but rather that we should love in a way that acknowledges the temporary nature of all things. When you embrace impermanence, you stop trying to control the uncontrollable. You no longer cling to relationships out of fear of losing them. Instead, you learn to appreciate the moments you have without becoming consumed by anxiety over their potential end. Stoicism teaches us to prepare for change, not resist it. Relationships evolve, people grow, circumstances shift, and sometimes things come to an end. Accepting this reality allows you to navigate relationships with grace and wisdom, free from the fear that often leads to possessiveness, jealousy, or insecurity. Embracing impermanence also means practicing gratitude. When you understand that nothing is guaranteed, you learn to value every interaction, every shared experience, and every moment of connection. You stop taking things for granted and start living with a sense of appreciation for the present. Remember, nothing lasts forever, but that doesn't diminish its value. By accepting impermanence, you free yourself from the chains of attachment and create space for deeper, more meaningful connections. 8. Don't expect others to make you happy. Happiness is an internal state, something you cultivate within yourself, not something that others can give you. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of expecting your partner to make you happy, to fulfill your needs, or to complete you. But as the Stoics remind us, placing your happiness in the hands of someone else is a recipe for disappointment. Epictetus famously said, "It is not events that disturb us, but our judgments about them." In the same way, it is not your partner's actions or behaviors that dictate your happiness, but your own thoughts and perceptions. When you rely on others for your happiness, you give up control over your emotional well-being. You become dependent, and that dependency can lead to frustration and dissatisfaction. True happiness comes from within. It is a byproduct of living in alignment with your values, pursuing your goals, and taking responsibility for your own emotional state. No one else can do this for you. In a relationship, your partner can enhance your happiness, but they should never be the sole source of it. The Stoics believed in focusing on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the world around us. By doing so, we regain our power and autonomy. In relationships, this means understanding that while your partner can bring joy and companionship, your happiness is ultimately your responsibility. By cultivating inner peace and contentment, you become a stronger, more balanced individual. This, in turn, makes your relationship healthier and more fulfilling because you are not placing unrealistic expectations on your partner. You are both free to grow and thrive without the pressure of having to be each other's sole source of happiness. 9. Don't try to change others. One of the greatest sources of frustration in relationships is the desire to change the other person. You might see their potential, their flaws, or their weaknesses, and feel compelled to fix them. But as the Stoics would remind us, trying to control or change others is a futile effort. Epictetus taught that we can only control our own actions, not the actions of others. When you try to change someone, you are exerting energy on something that is outside of your control. This often leads to resentment, conflict, and disappointment, because people rarely change unless they want to. In relationships, it's important to accept your partner for who they are, not who you want them to be. This doesn't mean you should tolerate unhealthy behavior or lower your standards, but it does mean understanding that everyone is on their own journey. You cannot force someone to grow, evolve, or change. Those decisions must come from within them. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what is within our control, our own thoughts, actions, and responses. Instead of trying to change your partner, focus on improving yourself. Lead by example and allow your growth to inspire others. If your partner is willing and open to change, they will follow that path in their own time, not because you push them to. Remember, you cannot control others, only yourself. By letting go of the need to change those around you, you create space for acceptance, understanding, and growth in your relationship. Building lasting, healthy relationships through Stoic wisdom. As we wrap up this deep dive into the 9 Stoic principles every smart man should live by in relationships, it's important to reflect on the timeless nature of these teachings. Stoicism offers a framework for living a life of integrity, self-awareness, and inner peace, and these values extend into how we engage with others. By guarding your past, embracing solitude, managing your time wisely, celebrating your achievements, safeguarding your mental health, maintaining your individuality, embracing impermanence, cultivating your own happiness, and letting go of the need to change others, you lay the foundation for a healthy, step-fulfilling relationship. These principles are not only about navigating romantic relationships, but apply to friendships, family, and every meaningful connection you have in life. Ultimately, the Stoic path is one of self-mastery. The stronger and more grounded you are in your own values and sense of self, the more balanced and fulfilling your relationships will be. Stoicism reminds us that we are in control of our own lives, our own happiness, and our own choices. So as you move forward, remember these principles. Live them, embody them, and let them guide you toward the relationships you truly deserve. Thank you for joining me on this journey through Stoic wisdom, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights that will help you navigate life with strength, resilience, and clarity.